or attend. I think it's the end of January. It would be fine, but it didn't sound like any of you needed to be there in terms of making a case for it, because Amanda's like all about, at least my impression of her was like, let's just make everything the same, right? Rather than having a different process of an email out to experimental leaseholders and whatnot. So that's what I wanted to report.
And that gives us the opportunity to review, as you just talked about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is kind of more work for you, isn't it?
Here we are.
But that was the goal.
Yeah. Well, I think this will benefit a lot of towns. So I appreciate these efforts a lot, so.
Well, and I appreciate Allison's not explaining how many meetings this was and how many people she talked to and how much she explained. And of course, Amanda had been here. She thinks
Having her here to see you guys was a really good idea.
yeah, because
The team.
we're amazing. So Allison is the House Chair again of Marine Resources, so I bet we'll talk to her again. And Denise Tepler, who's is Saginaw and Dresden, is the Senate Chair. And Cameron Rennie, who was Senate Chair last session, is the second senator.
Right.
So,
In Lincoln County, and she's
yeah,
mostly Lincoln County.
so they know what they're doing.
Yep.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you very much.
That's what,
Can you cast for that, Darcy?
I was just gonna check and
see if
see.
you can get on as guest.
I'm on the guest network. Is that all? Do I need to just be on the same network and then?
Then see if you can cast anything.
mouse is that? Is that your mouse?
Kind of doubt it.
No, that's her clicker, I think. Pointing it. It's like a fancy clicker.
Look at you.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing about updating all the technology to the point where nobody knows how to use it.
Pretty much right where we're at.
Oh,
I
when
can mess
COVID
around with
hit,
this.
being on board of trustees at the church, church committees were hard when COVID hit, trying to make Zoom calls be a thing.
Well, I got one in the truck if you need.
Sorry.
Darcy, do you have the HDMI cord?
Yes, I do.
Plug right in the TV.
Okay, maybe it's easier than if I slide this. I can slide down there to maybe Kevin's seat and connect. First, you want to switch places?
I think I got a 12-footer in the truck if you need
You just keep those on hand, Jerry?
it. You'd be surprised how handy they come in. That's pretty cool. They changed the rule. We did something.
You sound surprised.
Should be on the shirt. We did something. Yeah.
Well, they go together because the maps, this regulation means even more input and less potential conflict, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
However, why is it all the same? It should just be the same.
yeah, I mean, it's good that the applicants now universally through the different, have to come to the town first. Here.
It's a good process.
Yeah, it's a good start. I mean, ultimately, I'd like to see, in my mind, ultimately, like, something that makes it more of a requirement that the state abide by decisions that the town has made, would be the ultimate kind of thing, just to bring, so that it's not just us making suggestions as a town, and then they can or can't follow them, but
I think it's a really important step.
yeah, certainly.
I the fact that I wrote up a proposal that gets attention,
Mm,
the fact that we don't need it is fine, because this could actually go into effect even sooner.
mhm,
Because legislation wouldn't go into effect till 90 days after they adjourn, which is in the fall.
mhm,
So I think the process was really good, and Allison is amazing.
mhm.
And to have her and the rest of the committee know all the work we're doing, as well as the department, is good stuff.
I think it's important that we know they're gonna listen to us. They wanna help.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Put enough pressure on anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a conversation, right? Just a
Yeah.
normal conversation, and we kind of understood how they do their job, and all of our frustrations, we gotta figure out some way to find the middle ground.
Yeah. No.
That's a good first step. It doesn't fix everything, but it's just something.
Mm. I've been a part of a lot of conversations between
Yeah.
DMR and a lot of frustrated
But I
fishermen
mean, we went.
that never
listened to the-
resulted in
we
anything
went
other than
almost
them
the top,
going,
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
can't
she's-
do anything, it's the law, you know, so it definitely, it's part of why I was really excited about this group
Yep.
from the get-go, is that I thought that it might,
Well, the first
Swing a little
answer,
bigger
I
hand.
think, was no,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, I mean,
persistence.
yeah, well, it
And
always blew my mind that they could just be like, it's the law, there's nothing we can do about it, because it's like, I get notifications of rulemaking changes on my phone almost daily, you know, it seems like they can do whatever they want to do without a change in the law, so. And here they are, they're just gonna make a rule change again, so. It's good. Yeah,
Too bad our IT guys are here today. We're getting close to getting everything worked out. Not close enough.
I heard you're happy about the bigger screen.
I am. We're gonna mount it on Friday.
Well, in the meantime, oh, here comes Jerry. He's got a cord or not. Is he empty-handed? All right, I'm just gonna,
Computer on that other stand over there.
Maybe the other TV.
oh,
This one right there.
Can you just plug into the old TV?
No, no,
Mary Ann, why not just use the little TV right there? We can see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's all I know. Into my computer knowledge.
Gotta love technology. Good thing we started at 3:30.
Ish. Can you find that?
Paul, did you ever end up making contact with the barge
I
people?
sent him an email to the office. I've talked with him before. I sent an email to the office people before I went on vacation.
No? Oh. Yeah.
And then they had to know. But I spoke to Christine Carey, and other short of just sending them a friendly reminder.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the sand's all filled back in already.
Has it?
Yeah. I mean, all that's left now is chunks of asphalt around, and obviously the bottom part of it being more tore up than it was before. But the trenches are already gone. Yeah. But, yeah.
I was
figured-
worried about someone just burying their axle. Like it,
Well, yeah.
tide, not seeing that, and just
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was unusable as it sat there for a while, but, yeah, the sand's already filled back in, so, I mean, it's usable. There's just some chunks of asphalt laying around, but, yeah. I figured, you know, I mean, that's all you really can do is just like, hey, could you not do that
But
again?
you'd think they would have, you know, one time's an accident. Keep doing it, it's not an accident anymore.
Yeah, hopefully they can keep doing that again. These guys were loading up a barge there in Garrison Cove, using the boat launch. And I don't know what they did today, but they messed up and they either drove her on too far,
39 applications.
left, you know, waited too long on a going tide or whatever.
39.
And they decided
Now the
that
vetting
they were
process
getting off
starts.
on the
We're
way,
trying to
not
get a
getting off,
final
big barge,
task
twin
process next week.
screw.
Yeah.
And they put the power show on.
They're
and just
gonna let
blew a trench
8
right
altogether,
up
4
either side of
trappers.
the asphalt.
I'm trying to
like,
find out what the hell
like-
the average catch was.
like 5
crap
foot deep
storage.
trench either side of it,
Spread it
and
out,
just, you know,
more
a bunch
guys.
of the asphalt all
More
broke
broader.
off. And, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was a
Probably
mess.
$10 a pound for that.
Who were they?
I wouldn't even sell it for unless, you know, I told them, I go, if you gotta build new gear and rig over, I go, only allowed 1 day a week.
I thought that
I
the
go, $10 I
we were
could
starting to
do
rebuild the
one
boat.
business
For something. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
starting to
this would
rebuild
be
the boat.
nice.
We're gonna
Water.
dig this all up, yeah. Woo-hoo!
Now, can you saw that over here?
What's that?
I can't see it.
Already started.
So this is how our map looks currently. The last stuff that I updated was a bunch of stuff Billy gave me, and I now have another whole pile that I'll be working on too to get it entered. But this is where we are. The red, wide hash is all lobster territory. Yellow is scallops. I named the lobster territory all transparent, so you can see where it overlays with the other fisheries. It overlaps with scallops a lot. Blue is pogie areas. That's the first time we've seen those added, and I saw a whole bunch more that we'll also add. Even though the whole town is really technically heavy with pogie, it's nice to see real specific areas that are used all the time. And then I also have the pollution pogies on there, just so you guys can see. And here's kind of the interesting thing that I saw that was really nice. So green is existing leases. You can see the big rectangle that's Brunswick stuff, but it was easier to bring the whole layer in. That's Mere Point Oyster Farm right there, and then all of the stuff in Harpswell is also green. Oh, thanks, sorry. Yes. And then also, just for reference, these are all of the LPAs in the area. The stars are orders of magnitude larger than the actual LPA, but that's to give you an idea of where they are. And one thing that I thought was kind of nice is technically, most of the existing LPAs are just outside of these edges of the fishing areas that we've mapped out. Whether that means the system kind of works, or we've just been lucky so far that there hasn't been a lot of contentious overlap, I think that really is awesome, and it's a good place for us to start. Like, we have the map with everybody's stuff on it now. It's just a matter of continuing to keep it that way where we're not stepping on each other's toes, and I think this visual representation is going to be so much easier for people coming to Harpswell to look at and see, okay, where can I go and where should I really avoid? So once I finish adding in the other stuff, then we'll see where we're at. But it's come a long ways. I think it's amazing how much work we've put into this. So. And I can add more stuff as long as we need to. I don't know if we want to try and get the final map, what the process will be for getting it before the town or the selectmen, or Paul, do you know if there's a,
Yeah, so Christie, the administrator, sent me an email today. She knew that this group was working on this. We need to get, if anything's going before town meeting, it needs to be before the select board, end of January. We need feedback from the town attorney before it can go on the warrant. The final warrant we print. So time is not on our side.
That one.
There is still, is it June school budget?
Yeah,
That's a possibility.
yeah, usually the 6th.
End of January.
yeah, to be totally transparent, I just took a boat job in St. Croix for 2.5 weeks, from like the 18th to the end of January, so I'm tied up for, I can finish a bunch of stuff before the 18th, but then I'm not really gonna have email or easy access to doing stuff, so if we thought there was a real chance, I can like pound through this and get it all done before I go, if you guys wanna try and get it to the selectmen, but then I'm not gonna be around to do tweaks or modifications, so,
So part 2 is the definitions need to be selected. So there's a map.
yeah.
That's, well, the map is what's approved by town meeting vote. Definitions are changed by selectmen with a public hearing. So I guess that can be done.
Yeah, so what do
You
you mean
want
by
to correlate.
definitions? Like, what does that mean exactly?
So there's type 1, 2, 3, and 4 waters.
Okay,
Kind of describe the heavy usages. But I think, given this new map, people are
Yeah, you might want to add a type or whatever, but
Yep.
there just needs to be a written document that corresponds with the map and the intentions.
yep. We can kind of line it up with similar language to what's used in the other types then, is
Yep.
that something we should talk about? Like, can we, I guess not before, I don't know, what makes sense to work on next so that we can do the best with our time? Yeah, I mean, I can go home and work on this all weekend and have it ready to go, before I take off. As long as like I don't think we'll have time to do another group meeting. I can send it around to everybody, but I don't think we're far off.
I think we
anyway.
probably want to give the public an opportunity to see it before we actually send it.
Yeah.
to be approved
Yeah.
of. Like, there's a whole
I-
process of like,
I think the June
invite people to come and look at it, and
deadline would
like, what do you guys think? Like,
Is it a
They may hate it.
consensus? Yeah, consensus of waiting until June 6th
yeah,
or
like,
whatever.
we'll do some work, and then we gotta show it to people. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's only gonna get stronger.
Yeah, in the meantime, we can, whenever you guys feel like it's ready, when I finish adding all the other stuff that I just got, oh, God. We can do a version that can go on the town website for everybody to access and look at and email in comments or however they feel comfortable, sharing stuff. It's pretty comprehensive. I think by the time I add in the other stuff, it's pretty, we've filled in a lot of
Yeah.
the gaps. It's a really nice map. So that's where we are. So action items then for the map stuff. And do you guys, anybody here feel like they need any more of the paper maps, or are you chasing down?
I'd still like to get a couple of copies, a couple areas.
Yep,
Good.
were you on the email right before the meeting? Like, the town has those now, so.
Yeah, so,
We can print them off.
okay,
Yeah, she was super nice. The clerk did a whole bunch for Matt, and if we just let her know.
Yep.
And I numbered them, so it's a little easier to ask for which ones you want now,
Yep.
so.
yeah, there's just a couple of areas still that I feel like, if we could get some more specific
Yep.
data in a couple of areas would be good. Like the Coffins up in the Narrows,
Yep.
kind of the last two guys that regularly fish that, and so that would fill, that's kind of a gap in there at the moment, the Narrows, High Head area, and then in the Western Bay, still a little bit. I see that some of it's gotten like kind of the bigger blocked off stuff, but there's a couple of guys that like to get a little more specific
Yep, anything that they want to send in. And, I mean, that way, if we are shooting for June, we'll definitely be finished with a final version. Everybody's kicked around by then. But it would be still good to get this 99% done version on the website and have people, it might, roust out a few more people that would like to add some stuff to it, and that way we've got plenty of time.
Right.
Hey, Darcy, can you zoom in on any of those things so we can see the detail, like close to an LPA or something, or just so we know,
See.
like how detailed it is?
Yeah, so let's see. Like pick an area. Where do you want me to zoom in on?
Just where there's an LPA coming in
Yep.
contact with fishing or something.
Yeah, let's look at this. This was an area where I see this little
Yes, that's
cluster
good.
is overlapping. That's kind of that's a big area anyway. That's over by the goose and the got. Like there's so much stuff going on over there. So this was the one area where it looked like there's already LPAs there. I don't know whose those are. I don't have the acronyms. I think they might be Mirror Point.
No, I think those are people from Brunswick. They're scallops and maybe some.
We have 2 LPAs on Birch Island coming to our meeting this evening,
Yeah.
Ooh, here
which
we
are
go.
right, stop right there.
Yeah, you want which
So
side?
there's that piece of rock right there with a 15 number on it,
South of it.
Yep.
just south of that,
Right
right
in
there.
No,
You can see the lobsters getting really close to it, and I thought that on my map, they marked that nub right there, but there's 2 LPAs. Trying to go in that spot right there between Birch Island and that little rock.
I mean, traditionally, guys would have fished, between the rock and the island, in the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, One of the guys that I don't know if he's done any contributing to this or not, but like David Moody would be good to.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those might be, it's hard to I don't fish up quite that far, or I haven't in maybe 5 years or something like that, but it's whatever, 8 years ago, I guess just doesn't seem like that long ago to me. And, things have changed a lot up there over the last 7 or 8 years.
Well, and I mean, this is a good
And-
place for like that kind of conversation. If they are looking at putting LPAs in, I mean, it's too bad if they already wrote the applications, I guess. Or is this like their pre-application? What
No,
is
it's their LPAs.
Okay, so you always have the option of, explaining like, look, this is still pretty heavily used. Can you like slide it really close to shore? It looks like it's deep, pretty much, well, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Problem is on their application that says no fishing.
Yeah.
Like, again, another application that says no impact on fishing, no fishing is occurring.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean,
That's
maybe,
what drives me the most nuts about them is like, who's supposed to do the due diligence here? The leasee or the fisherman? Like who's the burden of proof on in the application process, I guess.
Finding out is
yeah, we pretty consistently have found that.
Right.
Well, kind of, yeah, it is good purpose for the map. Yeah, I mean, if whoever's, I don't know, maybe there wasn't any gear that got fished last summer right there, maybe nobody bothered that far. Like, I'd be surprised if nobody set a string right between the rock and the island.
I mean, the guy that I talked to was right up against it.
Further to the southern there, nobody might have been there. And a lot of times, too, especially like places like that, like closer to shore isn't always better. I've run into this with a few different applicants that I've talked to, a few different lease sites where, the general thought for a lot of people is it's like, I'll get it closer to shore, it'll be out of the way. But if that's going to get fished, it's going to get fished somewhere between the edge of the mud and the shore. And so realistically, like nobody would set a string once you get out towards the 24, like from the contour, the contour line out to the 24, like nobody's going to fish in the middle of the mud there, And so actually being further away from shore there would probably lead to less conflict.
Well, like, then like that's the information they need to hear, then something like that.
Yeah, but
And I think it'll be.
With fishing, but other contact, other conflicts with other things, like boat traffic and
like-
pogies.
yeah. I mean, that's not a terrible spot, but I'm sure there's been pogies.
Well, right
but
there and over there. And
everywhere. But yeah, it's of course the other thing is it's LPAs, and that's part of if they find out that there's conflict, then part of the point of an LPA versus it's only good for what
1 year.
but yeah, I mean obviously the point is to try and avoid the conflict, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I wasn't up there
also,
last year.
I want,
Whether that's fished or not.
the other thing I kind of wanted you guys to be aware of is scale. Like, it's a little misleading, like I said, with the stars on here showing where the LPAs are. That's so much bigger than the actual footprint of an LPA. I was messing around trying to figure out a good way to make
Show
it relatable. And if you, technically, I thought about this when I was at the wharf the other day, a 25-foot fishing boat on a mooring that, swings all the way around, if you plug that in and get the square footage of that, that takes up the space of almost 5 LPAs, just that one little mooring with a 25-foot boat on it. So I know it sounds like a lot, like, oh, there's 100 LPAs and,
400.
the
What is this?
general-
400 square feet, right?
400
For
square
one
feet for one LPA, yeah.
Is there a buffer, why, like, you drag in?
Nope, no, it's, fish right up through it, like, and like the gear usually takes up less space than,
Than the 400 square feet.
yeah. So I know we don't want anybody in the way, but also, some of these little LPAs are small, and it might be possible in this area to find
Oh,
a
yeah.
spot based on like
Oh, yeah,
your
for sure.
suggestions of, well, don't
Very
go
specific.
here, or don't, if
Yeah.
we may fish through here, just go over that way
Mhm.
100 feet or something. So
Mhm.
I think those are the kinds of fine-tuning things that are gonna show that we're really trying to just find a way to keep the harmony and not,
Mhm.
be exclusionary or,
Yeah.
say we don't want anything. But it's gonna take work, and it's gonna mean these people who are interested in coming here have to do the work to come here and figure this out, and not just,
Yeah.
roll in with it all set and then get
Well,
all.
one of the people that I really would like to get information from would be David Moody, because he's one of the few people that still fishes in the shoal, fishes up under the shores there. And, there's
Why what?
obviously it's like those places,
I know it.
like the easiest places to get information about
Talk to David, right?
where
Young
lobstering is
David.
occurring is
Young
the
David.
places where it's occurring the most, which happens to be the places that are least likely to have aquaculture leases.
I'm doing something
So there's
with David.
naturally kind of a, it's the outliers, it's the few people that are still fishing in the heads of the bays that are most likely to get impacted by leases. And so there's a handful of guys that I'd really like to,
I get over David. I'm doing something.
Yeah, I
right now.
just
Yeah.
picked up traps from him today.
Batteries.
But if I could drop a map off to him.
Yeah, definitely check with the town, and if you guys know ahead of time any areas that you think you want. I explained how they were numbered, like it's 1 through 6 is the west side, and then 12 through 18 is 1 through 6, 7 through 12, and then 13 through 18. It's just
Yeah, west to
center,
east.
yeah. And that way you can just ask for, she doesn't have to print all 25 million of them every time somebody wants stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but
I think we should try to get the information you have now on the map.
Yep.
Print it off for our next meeting and invite people to come and look at it.
Yep.
If you want to mark that one up even more or less or change something on
Yep.
it, that would be a good thing to do, I think.
Do you want to try and advertise for the February meeting
Yeah.
that we're
Connect
seeking
people, like,
public comment?
come see this map,
Yeah.
have a few of them.
Yeah,
And people can actually look at it and
yeah.
be up around the room and mark it
Hopefully,
or change it or,
time of year being different, hopefully we
yeah.
have
yeah.
And
space.
get David to come and the people that we know we want to talk to,
Yeah,
come and look at them.
yeah.
Give
And I
Bill-
can make
give Bill
changes on the
confidence.
fly too, like at that
can?
point. I can, if we have it
brother's kind of-
projected, I can do it
Well,
right there.
yeah, right,
Somebody's
exactly.
like, hey,
And-
do a circle right here, I can add it right away, so.
I think if they have a few around the room, people are less
Wrestling coach.
stressed about it, they can be
I don't
like,
have to fish around him.
He
a
likes
little
the
bit of
golf
time with
coach.
it.
Yeah.
He doesn't like LPAs in the Narrows.
No, we don't. Well, that family's been very protective of that area for
Yeah.
a very long time.
There's only two left.
Yeah, I know. But
It's cold.
both of them, I mean, yeah, if we could get Bill to take a paper copy to
He would.
get, yeah,
He's my neighbor. He's a good guy.
yeah, Yeah.
I asked him about my LPA that I was pursuing up there for an upwell, and he was fine with it, but I brought him right where I wanted him.
Oh, Bill? W?
I still didn't get it because it was supposed to be a 70-foot sailboat moored and
I don't think it ever happened. I don't think it ever happened. Sailboat.
Never seen this boat up there.
In terms of a legislative update, I was just thinking about my last comment, and I don't think it'd be as much as a legislative update as it could be a rule change. How do, because we see it all the time. They just fill out their application willy-nilly. They haven't gone to the site, they haven't observed everything, and they think it's just gonna slide through. How do we make it so the burden of proof is on the applicant to prove that there's no other fisheries existing and not on the fisherman? Because that would at least force them then to look at the maps, go out, take pictures, and do some due diligence, because they are the new kid in town per se. You know, and you're asking these already established fishermen to take a day off of work and come in and show where they fish and stuff like that when they've been doing it for generations. So that seems like it could be more of a rule change than an entire legislative
I
update.
mean, that is the rule, though. The rule is they are supposed to do that work.
Yeah.
That's what it says. They're just not,
They just-
they're just lying in the application, not lying,
But
they're not being
having,
truthful. I
but
guess.
the creation of the map and the availability of the map is the, at least, like, yeah, at least with the map, like you say, the fisherman doesn't have to come in on his,
About the
on his
stopgap.
work day, because you've got the map that already shows that yes, there's people fishing here. Yeah.
This map is gonna be huge. Map is gonna be
Hopefully.
really, really, really good.
It'll just, you know, the people that do not do the work and are just gonna get laughed out of the room. hopefully.
75% of the
Look,
things that we see are not accurate.
Yeah.
And we've been able to catch those,
Yeah.
because we actually read the applications.
Yeah, so the maps along with the review that's done with the town,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just, I know what you mean, it's frustrating, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
just-
I don't
I feel
know
like the
how many
applicants, some of
lease
them-
Well, they should do the
applications
work.
I've read over the years.
So there's no penalty for having an inaccurate application. The only penalty is if it's lease granted, proved to be inaccurate, then it can be.
Right.
There's no penalty for false
Right.
information.
No, you know, it's the same thing with a building permit in Harpswell. You do your sideline setbacks, nobody's gonna check. It's up to you to do the due diligence on your, how close you are to the water, sidelines and all that stuff. And if you don't do it, then you get caught, then down it comes. So, the same idea.
Yeah.
But in Harpswell, now you get 2 or 3 committees that look in these things over before they go anywhere. You guys in
Yeah, I mean,
particular at this point.
They get caught every time.
They did
like
what was
Billy
used in the
said.
past, though.
It just seems like a waste of their time, though, you know?
Oh, yeah. A lot of these guys, they get hours and money into it, and then all of a sudden, nope.
I mean, Paul, I don't wanna throw another thing on you, but could you choose to not sign off until they can show that they've reviewed the maps or had that, like, is there a, do they meet, I forget again for LPAs, like, they're coming to talk to us anyways, right? Like, they've gotta present.
They're
so
coming to the Harbor and Waterfront, yeah.
They can get a copy of the map then, if they haven't already looked at it on their own, and then they've got some homework.
Well,
to do.
I mean, I would think if they're coming to the harbor and waterfront that, I mean, you'd pull it up on the
Exactly.
big screen, everybody sit around, and this is where it's
Yeah.
this is where, I mean, you'll have the information ahead of time as to where they're applying for it.
I could
And then the
withhold,
committee can just look at the map and say, yes, or.
I could withhold a signature if they actively chose not to look at the information. Especially once it's in ordinance. Once it's in ordinance, it's possible.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
something, like that's something in that direction, anyway.
Hmm.
We're getting there in baby steps, anyway.
And the DMR can approve it anyway, but not in that situation.
As long as there's, I can't remember the word, I use, but basically basis for the harbor master not to sign off on it. So it can't just be, Paul doesn't like David Wilson, he didn't sign it. It has to be, is there actually a good reason why the harbor master didn't sign off on it? Or is the applicant just refusing to cooperate with it?
And that's just in terms of LPAs, right?
Right.
Like the review, the early town meeting process that takes place for standard leases and that we're attempting to have take place for experimental leases. Those processes don't require any sort of signature.
Correct.
That's just, they just have to show that they've come and talked to us. And then they still, right, but, yeah, they could still, after talking to us, ignore us and file an application with DMR anyway.
But,
Right.
right,
That's kind of what Amanda was suggesting, it's like, we've got this
Right.
now, and we're gonna be able to say, well, Tom, Jerry, and Bill all fish right here, and here's the map that shows where they are usually, then it's gonna
Yeah.
be hard for the applicant to say, there's no commercial fishing there.
Right.
so we had a standard lease that came to our committee last month, and there was comments made, and Paul,
Yep.
like that information was submitting it, so we didn't say up or down, it was like, here's the information, submit it, and it's coming from Paul.
Yeah, the town submits a harbor master questionnaire for leases. And what we did with the last one was harbor and waterfront and marine resources commented. We include those comments, signatures with that. And then on top of that, when it goes to public hearing, the town can get involved. The selectmen can give permission to committees to write an official statement, or the selectmen can write a statement. So there's definitely multiple.
Yep.
I don't know how the group feels. While we're at it, I'm sure there's already overlays in certain areas, but I think we should highlight restricted currents and have that taken care of and added to the map for next meeting.
You know how we can find that information?
We would just have to read the bottom. The depth chart's gonna show you where these restricted currents are. I think a lot of them are already overlaid with existing fisheries, but the ones that aren't, we could just recognize them. That could be a factor in.
We need to find someone to do that.
Yeah, if you got like a updated one of these emailed to you, then you could take and go from that and find any areas that you think are left out, like you said.
At this point, though, it's not a criteria. It would deny a lease.
Correct.
The whole reason for the research.
But it should be on our map saying, this is, I'm guessing they're all gonna be covered. I mean, if the map is accurate, you're gonna see fishing ground overlapping those, I'm guessing, right?
For the most, yeah.
But you should look at it and really make sure.
Yeah.
If they're not, then
This is my pond, jumping back to my initial question, the little skinny rectangle right here. And it's an experimental lease at the moment, and I would like to convert it into a standard lease with no changes at all. I don't need to expand anything or do anything else. The guys at Lobster around me, those are the Coffins who've towed me in when my skiff broke down, and they waived, so I think we're on good terms. And then Tom Cloutier set some gear there early on, and he doesn't feel like I'm in the way, so you guys can think about that, and maybe like at the next meeting, privately, you can message me if anybody's got any concerns, but that is my intention, to turn that into a standard lease, right where it is.
what's the green thing on the left?
That's the Snow Island Dog's Head site they bought off of John Rogers when he set that up a while ago.
Yours is much smaller than that one.
Mine is tiny. But that's all I need. And really, that's all that will fit there between, the navigation channel. And I would be closer to the shore, but there's an eelgrass bed there, and I had to be offset by 25 feet from that. So that's how I landed in that spot. And it's actually kind of good because summer people will run over that ledge at mid-tide because they don't see it, the one at the end of the point. And my farm goes almost out that far, so it helps to keep them from cutting and ripping off their lower unit.
So you'll go through the application process for the standard, but hopefully a little bit less.
Hopefully it'll be, who knows? I mean, that's what they're recommending.
You're
is-
no objection.
Yep, but before I
I'm
do
with-
that, like I said, I want to
Season's
make sure there's no, oh geez, if you could just
Yeah.
bump it north 100 feet or
Um,
something, that would be so much better, but.
And that red hash stuff on the right,
That's the closed area, that's pollution closure, because of, I don't remember, it's probably the wharfs, or there's probably an overboard discharge somewhere.
Okay.
Turn that off so you can see the rest of the. Yeah, that's just lobstering, and then this is a pollution area. It's not like, yeah, it's somewhere over there, and they just have to make lines of sight that Marine Patrol can enforce, so it's one of those red painted posts.
Yep.
And the tip of this, and
Right.
you guys wanna look at anything else in the town? We good on that?
Oh, I know you haven't had the shellfish things on there yet.
Yeah, I saved for last, cause that's really detailed, and also, you have a little bit of, protection anyway, cause anything intertidal has to go to Marine Resources, no matter what, so it's not gonna slip through the cracks at all.
There are some shellfish beds in the west that they drag for in and
I think I got the oyster, I got European oysters, the purple is European oysters, so we've got some of this stuff, and up in here, so those are in there. But if there's more, I'll catch it in more of the stuff.
I think with the, with the flats, like, productive flats, it's less, I mean, like you say, obviously, it's not like somebody's gonna really, well, no, people aren't likely to apply for a lease on top of them, but if someone were to apply for a big lease rate next to them, like, it might not be, like you say, like we talked about a lot of times with lobster gear, like, moving over just a little bit might be good, but if you've got productive mud flats, like maybe you should.
See anywhere in Harpswell where there's room for like a giant lease, like for scale, the Dog's Head site I think is 8 acres. I want to say this little, this guy, the little half moon. I think that's about 8. I think these are David's. I think those are 4 maybe. So it's, you're not going to fit a 20-acre farm anywhere in Harpswell.
Well, I mean, it's, yeah.
With the depth and the other fisheries and the, ledges and everything else, and navigation channels, I mean, I think that's about as big as they would get probably in Harpswell, but still, the fishing mapping is just gonna be hopefully a really good insurance that things don't get out of control. And they're not yet. I mean, like I said, I know there's a couple overlaps over there by Birch Island already, those LPAs, but for the most part, it's not awful. They're on the edges of good productive area. And maybe we're getting close to what's going to fit here, but you could squeeze a few small ones here and there as long as they're following the process and not ruin anybody else's life.
And I mean, you can pretty, easily predict where the, bulk of new applications are going to be in the same places, head of Middle Bay, I mean, big part of the restriction too is just access to the water. I mean, unless you happen to be somebody that's tied in with a fishing family, South Harpswell somewhere, or towards Bailey Island or Kennedy's Harbor. I mean, otherwise, there is no big commercial town dock for people to, harvest their product from. So, that's a big limiting factor for where they're sited around town. Yeah.
New business.
So I guess the next steps, in addition to refining and, adding, gathering new data, finishing the map, would be to then turn to the definitions that.
I'll get everything that you guys have given me, I will get that added to the map by the end of the weekend, and then turn it back over to you guys, and that way there's something, if you really want to go for it and try and get something, to the selectmen, then you'll have something, but
I don't think, yeah.
it should at least, maybe at that point, go on the town website and be more of a discussion. You can put it up there before the February meeting, so people have an idea of what they're gonna be looking at.
Yeah. And I like the idea of advertising the February meeting, and.
I think if you can get that done and print one off, and David can take that and scan it for constricted currents
The
areas.
little maps are hard, like.
But if you did like a big one, like
Yeah.
and then you could take that before a meeting and try to identify any areas that are missed for constricted currents. And then get that updated before a February meeting and then present, allow people to come and look at it and mark it up. we need to get people to come and actually see it in person, get them here, force them to come.
Criteria
It could be
Right
part of the
now, but
discussion, though, like.
Yeah.
if
I
you're gonna-
feel like their criteria list is all based off in riparians and other fisheries. Well, I and I'm sure a lot of other, like, there is such thing as impediment of a restricted area.
Well, there is, and that standard lease we saw last month, the applicant admitted that his oysters in that location grew twice as fast as the other two that were just 100 yards away from it. So there is something about certain areas that create an advantage.
It shows you how important restricted areas are.
They're a real thing.
You could have a disease in one of these farms. You could have anything happen within one of these farms, and if it's right in that restricted area, what is it gonna do for all other life that is dependent on that restricted area?
Right.
And that's something that really needs to be thought of, thought about and considered.
And then the definitions, how do we should probably work on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if between now and the meeting, if we all just want to review the current definitions within the ordinance and come up with whether we think we need to add any more types or whether 4 types is still good and what we want those types to be. I mean, besides what they are right now. I mean, I would assume that without reading them in front of me, that there'll have to be some addition to the
I just sent,
definitions, but,
Current map, current definition.
okay.
I think the Harbor and Waterfront Committee would want to have thought, time on that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, whatever, I mean, this group, make recommendations as to, and then ask the Harbor and Waterfront Committee to adopt or edit those recommendations. That way it's their fault, not ours.
So the mapping, the definitions,
Get everybody to February.
Paul, are there things about the type 1, 2, and 3 that you have found, or do you have some suggestions on things that need to change? Are there things that you think that are wrong with them, or do you have an idea, like a direction we should go with that stuff? Or is it, I know it's quite broad.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some room for added. 6.
Yeah. Do you think it should be more specific than it is now? The definition of the types, like, should be,
Historically, it's been pretty good, but I think what I've learned from this group is we want more clarity. So I
right,
think it can't hurt.
try and be a little more specific. We add a couple groups.
We should all read up on that. Understanding what's in it, and
Yeah.
so we can like hit the ground running.
After all, we're gonna take all these fisheries and that's gonna become one color in the current map you guys have right now, correct?
Plus, or
But this will be like a secondary map. If you wanna
I think it would
see-
all be on there. You'd have
It
the
would all
fishing
be-
grounds,
yeah.
the moorings, the piers,
Yeah.
the LPAs, all of our information is gonna be on there, and it's gonna be like, wow, there's not a lot of room.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna be
know?
a really messy map, but then you can
But you
plug
can,
in-
like,
you
zoom
can
in.
plug yeah, and you can plug and play with,
But I mean,
you know, the
when
what you
she's,
want on it.
when you zoom in on that, it really shows you, like, it can go like right here in this one spot. When we get an application, we're just looking at a NOAA map. It's like, okay, we don't really know what's on there, because it doesn't look like much. But if we had this, you'd say,
There's a
dude,
guy already that came and asked me about, he's another oyster farmer I bought stuff from, and he's like, oh, I really wanted to go do an LPA, and I was thinking of somewhere near you or near the Dog's Head site. And what he's talking about is actually like, he'd like to sneak in like right along here.
Yeah, which is where Bowden's Wharf is.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, well, you're gonna have to talk to Bowden because all those little sailboats are
see that on the
there.
map.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
If we had
exactly.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know, here's what you need to think about. And then I told him also, like, we'll have more information about the fisheries in there too and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he can squeeze in near Bowden and have a small footprint, like maybe he can be right
Yeah,
there.
maybe south of Bowden's stuff. If
Exactly.
If Bowden doesn't put up a big enough stink to keep him out of there.
Yeah.
But like you say, without knowing that Bowden's
Yeah.
got wharf and floats and
Yeah, it looks like
stuff
I mean,
there.
we-
wide open
we-
space,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't
we
it?
get a map, and it's
Yeah.
just a map. It's
Yeah,
a NOAA chart. Okay, but it doesn't really tell us a whole lot,
yeah,
other than someone coming and saying, I fish right there, which has happened. But the committee has to be able to make a decision based on on that, and that's gonna be helpful.
yep. All right. We have any more stuff?
No, it's not.
Public comments next.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Public comments, members of the public?
I can offer a brief comment, which is just, Maine Coast Fishermen's Association has, like, been following this effort, very excitedly. And if you need any assistance in,
Grab the mic.
oh, Darcy's doing it for me now, thank you. It's karaoke between us tonight, we're supporting each other. But if you would like any help in the outreach side of things, so MCFA, I can contact Monique and see if we could have a blog post or any of our social media advertise any upcoming meetings that you guys have. I don't know if you'd want that because MCFA has a statewide list of people who get information from us. But if it will be useful, let me know and I can look into it.
Sure. I mean, I think if you wanted to advertise what we're doing in February, it wouldn't be horrible to have other people that are curious see what we're doing if they want to try and get that started in their own areas besides us. Any other public? No? I'll put your stuff on the map. I'll put the,
Yeah, well, the area's already blocked out anyway.
still,
That's a heavily fished area.
it helps to have, like, it's good to have all the information so that,
Are there any seining areas that you would like, but other than your fish trap areas, like, are there any spots for seining that you would call
As a seiner, I've been, 30-odd years, 40 years now, I've been
everywhere?
all over Casco Bay, and I've
Yeah.
fished up alongside most of these sites, even yours.
yeah.
And I've never had any issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's never been any problems. And the last thing I want to do is get wrapped up with their mooring system or whatnot.
Yep.
It's just going
Yeah.
to wreak havoc with my gear, so we've fished right up against all of them, never had any issues.
Yeah.
I have no complaints, no issues. Everything seems to be fine.
All right.
What were
Is
you
there-
gonna say, Billy?
I have one thing to say. Probably a good idea to consider,
It's probably a good idea to consider the springtime hardshell lobster fishing, because I know that, like, a lot of times you won't see gear there at any time of the year other than, like, the first month in the springtime. I know that how that is in Zone E, but I'm not sure if it's the same in Harpswell, but, a lot of the times, they won't have their gear there all the time, it's just specific times, so it'd be good to consider that too. The other thing too, I gotta echo what David said about the constricted currents, especially when it comes to shellfish. In Brunswick, we just, the Marine Resource Committee actually yesterday voted to approve an intertidal lease, and it's kind of right in the channel up going into Woodward Cove. It's bottom plant, so it wouldn't be impeding the flow or anything, but you have to think and consider that that's a narrow channel. It's going in to provide nutrients and dissolved oxygen for all of the wild shell stock up in that area. But before it goes to the wild species, it has to go through that farm. And, obviously we need the studies to see exactly how much that's going to impact it, but just logically speaking, that should be considered, I think. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Paul, all the piers and the moorings and all that, Darcy doesn't have that.
You have the moorings?
I couldn't open it in the format that you gave it to me, but that was my old program, so I was able to use it with this one. Or I'll come sit in your office when I get back and we'll.
The docks, yes, we can get from U Shed. Colby, Judy, George has a lot of that stuff. Yes, we can.
Wonder if it would be cool if we could try to get that on there too.
Yeah, for February?
I don't know.
Well, For,
For February, maybe, I don't know, just to see it. But
yeah, but just, yeah.
It may be too much on a printed map, though, is what I'm saying. Turn it on, turn it off, print it.
It's definitely easier to have a digital format where people can click the buttons. and
Right.
do things, but still, it makes the impact, having it all on there, like,
Mhm.
that's the fact, that's what we have, so, you know. I think the moorings are really stunning, there's a lot of moorings in Harpswell. And again, if you consider the scope that you need to, you know, put a big boat on there, some of those big sailboats in the summer
Right.
take a lot of room. Alrighty, any other stuff?
Well,
3:30. Samantha will remind me.
There's nothing else, is there?
and we're gonna advertise for that and invite people, that we're doing?
Yep.
I'll get a copy of the map to the coffins.
Okay.
They won't come to a public meeting.
No.
Yep, we can do that. Yep.
And we're all gonna do our job to grab people and bring them.
Before and after, not during.
Do we wanna approve the minutes from the last meeting?
It's the fastest set of meetings. He even beats Jack.
I know.
Jack was pretty quick, but you gotta beat.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
All right.
Can we be done?
None?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's adjourn. We got a meeting right after this.
Thank you, guys.
10 minutes for a potty break.